for rent. So you tell me, Domenic, when's the last time you saw $400 a month rent anywhere?
Impossible. Yeah, you don't see that.
Yeah, so it's really very challenging for somebody, once you wind up in the shelter system, to try to work your way back out of it. And
so these are people basically that really, they've just fallen, and maybe there isn't a support system at home or friends or family enough to really put that person back into the fold. So what you do there is they're able to come there. Sometimes it could be a need just for maybe housing at the beginning, and then it turns into, reteaching them maybe a new trade or something. Does it go to that extent?
Yeah, let me give you a little sort of overview of the face of the homeless at Jeanne Peak. Their ages run the gamut from about, I think our youngest is maybe 19 or maybe 20, up into senior citizen. Okay, we're starting to see a lot more young people come into the system,
Sure.
and this is partly due to the fact that there is not maybe a support system at home to help them. We have veterans at Jeanne Peak, veterans who are suffering maybe from post-traumatic stress disorder, who have served their countries very well and very strongly, and they come back to
and you heard
the U.S.
just the other day, I believe the county executive said that they're going to be shutting down or really phasing out Montrose facility as it is already. So
don't get me started on that. Yeah,
so
that's
how do you? So to me, it only looks like your usage or the usage of the facility is only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. It sounds like.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, the Jeanne Peak House has a very close working relationship with the VA at Montrose. And they've been great, but they are paring down their services, and that there's a gap in services now.
Right.
So it's really up to the shelter system to kind of fill that gap.
Sure.
We are, most of our veterans are from the Vietnam era and Desert Storm. However, we just got our first Iraqi vet.
See, already
coming.
Sure.
Back into the shelter system. So yeah, it's a serious problem that is only going to get worse.
Give me well, let me put it this way. I know only on a first-hand basis. I believe it was about 3-4 months ago where someone had come in. I met him downtown Peekskill. It's a friend. And he seemed despondent, whatever the case may be. And I could sense there was something wrong. So, I went to him and I said, listen, if you need help, let me know. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, I mentioned the Jeanne Peak House. And he said, okay. He goes, and he didn't take it right away. I said, listen, you know where I am. You know who we are. Here's my number. If it gets down to that point, please give me a call. And he did. 2 weeks later, he did give me a call. I referred him to you, and it's a good story. I mean, you guys took care of him. It was unbelievable. He got the housing necessary, and he did. He just needed that. And I believe it was only about a 2-3 week period.
Right, I know. I remember who you're referring to,
and it happens, and it happens to every one of us. And you'd be surprised how there really isn't that support system. The families are no longer in the structures where there's a mom and dad, and sometimes the children, they come home and mom and dad aren't home until 8-9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? And in this case, we're talking someone much older, but it's for whatever reason, whether it's a mom or dad are passed away or brothers and sisters aren't around to support. Where do you go?
Right.
There's the perfect segue.
So Jeanne Peak is a place to come to.
Give me 2 success stories that you know of.
Okay. Well, there's so many. There are so many success stories at Jeanne Peak that it's hard to sort of pick 2. Because Jeanne Peak is sort of like a family kind of concept. People come to Jeanne Peak and they're working their program. There are rules that they've got to follow. we run a pretty tight ship there. There's a curfew that they've got to abide by, and everyone does a detail, they do chores.
So it's not a country club.
It's definitely not a country club. Definitely not a country club. They're up by, 6, they're up doing their chores, they're getting ready to go out and do their programs and whatever they've got to do. So people come to Jeanne Peak and they work this program. And when they are done and when they move on and when they get jobs and when they go on into housing, many of them come back, and I hire them as client care workers. I have somebody on staff at the Jeanne Peak House 24/7, 365 days a year. There's always staff around the clock. They're client care workers, and some of our graduates, they'll come back and they'll work as a client care worker, which is great. It's like a great role model.
Sure, because they have the understanding immediately what's going on.
Totally
it's not like they have to be taught that.
And they know the importance, the value of the program, and they can sort of share their wisdom to the people who are going through the same, situation.
Now, where do you get funding from? In other words, is it only private sector? Or do you sell, widgets in order to raise funds? Does the county come in? Does the city of Peekskill come in? Where's the support system there?
Okay, well, for I've got 3 programs. The Jeanne Peak House program is funded 100% by the county, okay? And I have to, abide by the rules and guidelines of the county and follow their structure, et cetera.
What is the county, what department in a sense?
The Westchester County Department of Social Services.
Oh, so they're in charge of distribution of monies, and you have to follow, I'm sure, a protocol and everything.
Right, and they send me the clients that, and follow all of the, reporting regulations, all the guidelines, you name it. We follow it. So the other programs, the Sunny Donut Breakfast Program and the Food Pantry is a wing and a prayer. It's wherever I can get the money. The business community, individual donors,
sure, whatever, $5,
foundations,
$10,
grants, corporate grants, we're
churches,
constantly,
church organizations, civic organizations.
The faith-based community has been wonderful. The Peekskill Area Pastors Association have been really phenomenal in not only financial, fiscal donations, but also community support, volunteer support.
Right.
The Chase Media Group, also known as
Penny
the Yorktown
Saver,
Penny Saver,
right,
has also been a very great support, very much in tune with our mission to serve the hungry and the homeless. And Entergy, a lot of other, corporate entities have been really have stepped up to the plate. Actually, in the past couple of years, they've been, starting to come on board and help us to help me to expand the programs and help us to sort of spread the mission.
Well, I think the fact that you as a director really have taken it to the next step, and that was, I think for so many years the Jeanne Peak House had that negative vibe to it, and I think people really didn't know what Jeanne Peak House or what CHOP was doing. And I think by really exposing it to the public to say, look, these aren't criminals. These aren't people that are just coming in for the day and using the bathroom or facilities and then leaving the next morning to have a good time. That's not the case. These are people that they've fallen. They need that little help and they need that little guidance. And through you and your staff there, which are great people, you start to put them out. And I know it's kind of sad because I'm sure you develop relationship with a little bond with some of these people.
Yeah.
But it's nice to also see them go. It's almost like they're able to get back out into the world.
Right,
and
it's like
start
fledglings,
over again.
and they're off, but they come back and they visit.
That's good.
And I am very blessed to have a great staff, to work with. Few people on my staff have been with Jeanne Peak for 20 years, 15, 20 years. They just, once you get hooked into Jeanne Peak as a staff member, it's hard, it's hard to,
yeah, of course.
you don't leave.
Well, sure, because you get these, listen, I'm sure there are the ones that maybe you'll lose in the sense that maybe it doesn't, they don't follow through or continue on to where you want them to go. But and I'm sure they even come back time to time. But the ones that one that makes it is one less person or one person that you feel that you did something.
God,
It was
did it,
thank God they got
did
past it. Yeah,
right.
Because I'm sure there's that barrier. There's the wall that they're afraid the confidence is shattered. Whatever the case may be. You know, the family life is not the greatest. So it's
there's so
a
many
tough call.
issues, and everybody is an individual. We treat everybody, you know, we meet them